My man, I got you in the building. I ain't got you in the building. I got you on your compound, man. I got you on your compound, man. You're all the
turn your location
all
devices.
turn location on,
No
right,
location
man?
devices.
And I'm telling you, and I got mine on, and telling you turn it on, right?
Perfect.
but yeah, man. Today is it's a special day today, man. Special guest, man. Special guest. You talking about a father, mentor, coach, entrepreneur, Washington, D.C.
Native.
Yeah. Maryland University coach, my man, Mike Locksley. Good to have you, man.
Good to finally be home, man. I've been home for 6 years. And I ain't know. I thought I had to check in or something to maybe get on the show, but I'm glad I finally got you out to the county. I ain't gonna say which one, but you're out in the county.
Yeah. We out here. I'll let you know it's helicopter pads out here, man. It's a whole bunch of Euro stuff parked out front, man. That's all I'm gonna tell you, man. I'm gonna get in the pool next time I come up here, man. But what you know, man, you're a legend. You don't got to do no checking in, man. You're a Washington, D.C. legend, man. Definitely, man. Man, let me start right from the beginning, man. I know you're from Southwest Washington, D.C. That's one of the dangerous areas in the D.C. area. Give me a little bit about your upbringing down there.
Yeah, grew up down Southwest, man. It was Soldier's World is what we used to call it back in the day. S and the W.
Okay.
Really, as you know, a tight-knit little area because it's just a pocket because Southwest goes on both sides of the river. If you know, you got the Bald Eagle side, the southeast side that's just north of Martin Luther King Avenue or south of Martin Luther King Avenue, and then you got the other side of the river, which is where I grew up. Went to Amadon Elementary, Jefferson Junior High, and then unfortunately I wasn't able to go to Woodrow Wilson, which is the neighborhood school for Southwest, because I wound up moving across the bridge to Linda Poland in the 9th grade, and I ended up having to go to Ballou, which was my neighborhood school. So now I'm in between Southwest and Southeast. I'm going to school at Ballou, but I'm living in Southeast, but I still hanging out down Southwest with all my childhood friends.
Right, yeah. So you had both cultures. You had the Southwest.
Just South side.
And the South side.
Just South
so you
side.
from the South side.
I'm just from the South
That's
side.
the real South side.
Yeah, that way I give both sides some credit.
Right, yeah. Man, look, man, you been coming down the weight, man. You been fly. You was fly when you had a little bit of weight on you, man. Now you stand fly, man. You got this fly Under Armour Jones on. We got it. I don't know. I got to haul at you a plate for them right there, man. You got my man. Museum Greg and Muhammad stuff on, man. How you feeling?
I need a box of the all days, man.
Yeah, it'll be hard to follow. It'll be hard to follow that car. I'm gonna try.
Okay.
It'll be hard to follow that car right there, man. But how you feeling though?
I feel good, man. You know, being back home, I'm in year 6 at Maryland. I'm comfortable back here at the crib. We've done some good things the last few years from a football standpoint. We're making an impact in the community, which for me is as important as winning games, but changing the lives of some of the guys that I have a chance to work with, like I've been able to do over the 34 years I've been in coaching. You know, I've seen that brown leather ball change the lineage of lives like it has for me. You know, the first in my family to go to college, graduate. All of my kids attended and graduated college, and because of it, I was able to break the cycle a little bit.
Right. And you played sports at a young age. I know you played that.
Boys and Girls Club. If you grew up in D.C., you had to have a club in your neighborhood.
Right,
And down Southwest, it was the number 4 Vikings.
Number 4 Vikings, okay.
You know, back then I didn't realize it, but that was what they call community policing.
Right,
because all the clubs were run by the Metropolitan Police. And I can remember Officer Willie Borden, man, who ran number 4. He was like a father figure to a lot of us at that time. From the standpoint, it was a safe haven, and we learned every sport. You know, now these kids specialize. Like I have a kid grow up and he just plays football his whole life. But if you were a club kid, you grew up learning the fundamentals of all the major sports. I can remember taking soccer, tennis, boxing, along football, basketball, baseball, and you know, I think now when you look at the way the city is, we got to figure out how to bring the clubs back. We got to get them into different quadrants. We got to get football back in the city for youth. It's the one sport that a lot of kids can play, and it's not as expensive as some of these other sports that I've come to find. You know, my daughter played soccer, and she was a Division I scholarship athlete, and soccer is very expensive. You know, if you look at the guys and the people that I grew up with that played the game of football, man, it taught us so much about life. Because you're going to get knocked down, you're going to get punched in the mouth, you're going to get Probably run over a couple times,
Right.
but you got to keep getting up and play the next down, play the next day.
Right. That's a good segue to my next question. What, from your perspective, you being a former football player, talented,
Football and basketball,
Basketball,
Kurt. Don't
yeah,
let
yeah,
the I tell don't let the belly fool you. I was an athlete,
Right,
man,
yeah.
but I got stressed out, man, dealing with these kids and put the weight on. But we're on a good program, getting the weight off now. But
Right.
was able to do 2 sports in college.
Right.
But football paid the bills, and it's still paying the bills.
Man, and what you think was a glaring difference between when you play football versus the athletes now?
I would say it starts when we didn't specialize. Like I would say the second piece, football wasn't a year-round thing. You know, it was like when I played college football. When the season was over, we had spring practice, but I got to come home for the summer and then come back just in time. So you usually were sent home to stay in shape. We didn't take summer school classes and all these things. And then you come back and you better be in shape once camp start. At that point, camp was used to get you in shape. Well, now, I mean, this football thing, especially at the level that I'm coaching at, it's 365 days, 24/7, and with the amount of money involved, and we all are aware of the landscape of players being able to get paid now. It's a full-time job for these guys. And when I played growing up, like when you did, it was probably wasn't as much a time commitment, which is why you were able to play other sports.
Right, yeah. And I was thinking she was talking, I was thinking like you say that boys club and recreation centers,
Rec centers.
When the season over, you sign up for the next
The next
sport.
sport.
For the next sport. T-ball, kickball, played it all, right?
It all. And now, you know, I can remember my daughter coming up. She was a good basketball player and played soccer. And she actually had to sign a contract with her soccer club that she wouldn't play other sports. And that didn't make sense to me because I know now as I look at the guys that I recruit, the type of players, and I've had some really talented guys come through the programs I've worked. Those guys, man, they played a lot of different sports. I mean, if a guy's an athlete, a good athlete, they're usually pretty good in most sports.
In most sports, yeah, most sports. You had a lot of stops on your journey. Let me give you a quick, see if you can give me all your stops in order.
All my stops in order.
In order.
All right, so it starts with my alma mater. I was hired. My defensive coordinator got the head job. My head coach retired after my senior year, so it opened up the head job, which allowed my defensive coordinator, Gordy Combs, to become the head coach, which my DB coach then became a coordinator, and it opened up a DB job. So in 1992, after playing the very next year, I was coaching my friends. Now, I was a little bit more advanced than most because I had already had 2 kids. I was married. You know, I got married in college. Right after, you know, my junior year in college, I got engaged and got married right after graduating. But I'd already had my youngest son, Mike, when I was 18. I had my son, Miko, that was killed when I was 21 and got married at 22. So I put the cart before the horse, as I tell my players. But there's no doubt the impact that the game has had on me. You know, it allowed me, you know, I coached at Towson, and I went from Towson to the Naval Academy, where I coached there for 2 seasons. I was up at the Naval Academy at a prep school that's up in Newport, Rhode Island. And so I was up in Newport, Rhode Island, coaching for the Naval Academy at the prep school. I left there. I went to the University of the Pacific out in Stockton, California. I was there for 1 season, and they dropped football. They actually, because of Title IX, ended up dropping football that year. And then I came back east and coached up at West Point. So I went from coaching at the Naval Academy to now coaching up at West Point. I did that for a year. And then I made my first stop at Maryland in 1997 under Ron Vanderlinden era. And I was fortunate enough after Coach Vanderlinden was let go that Ralph Friedgen came in and he kept me on the staff. And I stayed under Ralph for 3 seasons before I left and went to the University of Florida down in Gainesville with Ron Zook. And then I left Florida, went to Illinois, where I got my first coordinating opportunity. That's where I kind of cut my teeth as a coordinator on offense. I played defense. I coached defense the first 8 years of my career. And then when I went to West Point, I moved over to offense. It was my first offensive position. And then Florida, I coached the running backs. I left Florida, Illinois. I became the offensive coordinator and coached the tight ends for the first year. And then I moved to the quarterbacks for the next 4 years. And then I got my first head coaching opportunity in a place that I'd never been before, the University of New Mexico. And I was there for 2 years and 4 games. 2 years and 4 games. And they asked me to leave. It was really the first time in my life I ever failed publicly or failed at something. Because if you look at the way my career went, it was on a fast track. And then I go to New Mexico, and for me, that was where I had my first, as I like to say, my first failure, where I had to really face adversity and how do you bounce back? And that's where growing up in the city and growing up the way we grew up, you learn that you're going to take some L's. You're going to take some setbacks, and it's just how you respond to them. And so I set out and came up with a plan to try to figure out how to become a head coach again. And the way it worked, I ended up coming back to Maryland after I left New Mexico as the offensive coordinator under Randy Etzel. And I was here with Coach Etzel for 4 seasons. And then when he was let go, they named me the interim head coach for the remaining games of 2015 season. And at the end of that year, I didn't get the job. The job went to DJ Durkin, and that's when I left to go to Alabama and work under Coach Saban. Was there for the 2016, 17, and 18 season. And I went from basically being what was called an off-the-field analyst to basically becoming Coach Saban's offensive coordinator in 2018, and rebranded myself under Coach Saban's umbrella. And I can remember my mentor, Debbie Yao, who's the former AD at Maryland. When I got fired at New Mexico, I can remember her saying, what you need to do is get under somebody's umbrella, like a Urban Meyer, a Nick Saban, a Pete Carroll, to see if you can rebrand yourself, because she says you're a talented coach, but you need to probably rebrand. And so I got under Coach Saban's umbrella and was there for 3 years, won a national championship there, and had a chance to come back home as the head coach at the school I grew up as a kid rooting for. I mean, I grew up in Bird Stadium in the mid-'80s when 83, 84, 85, Boomer Esiason, Frank Wright, Neil O'Donnell, that whole crew. Won 3 straight ACC titles. And I can remember me and all my homies from Southwest, we used to come up to Maryland's campus. We used to catch that P-12 up and then get over to New Carrollton and come on campus. And we used to scout tickets at the football and basketball game. That's when Lenny was playing at Cole Fieldhouse, which now serves as our indoor facility. So that's been my coaching journey. Now I'm the head coach at my dream job back home.
Yeah. That's a hell of a journey, man. That's a hell of a journey.
Man, it's a lot of places. 11, 12 moves, I think.
Right, yeah. And you said something during that journey about where you come from, and that was actually, I was leading to your experience growing up. It seemed like it really helped you in your coaching journey, man.
There ain't no doubt. I mean, first of all, as a kid, you typically grow up wanting to do what your father does. I grew up with a single mom, Vanita Locksley, and so those coaches became kind of father figures at the Boys and Girls Club, then my high school coach, Frank Young, and then even in college, when you look at the move I was able to make from going 1 year as a player to the next year being a full-time coach. Right. It either showed the amount of respect my coaches had for me as a leader of people, but to me, that all came from how I grew up. I mean, when you grow up in our neighborhoods, it teaches you better understand that toughness and both physical and mental toughness. You better be a trustworthy person, loyal, all these characteristics that you look for. But I grew up wanting to do what the men in my life did for a living, which were coaches. And I knew that if I couldn't play the game at the highest level when I was done, that I wanted to stay involved. And I can remember my senior year in college, I majored in business marketing. And so I had to do an internship. I did one with Citicorp. And I can remember after lunch it just being, I mean, it was like I just kicked in. And here I am coming from a place where you do school all day, then you're outside for practice, but the 9 to 5 life wasn't for me, and I knew then after that internship. So I can remember going to my head coach at the time, Coach Combs, who gave me my first job, saying, "Look, I want to get into coaching." And he looked at me and said, "Man, you too smart for coaching. There ain't no money in coaching." Right, yeah. Huh? He told me he got to come out here. He got to come out here. Then. He's been out here now. And I laugh. We laugh at it, but it all depends on what your goals were. His goal was to have an impact, and maybe it didn't pay what these jobs pay nowadays, but I can tell you that the degree, the men that coached me, the impact they had on me is why I got into this business.
Okay. Speak to this play right here on your wall.
Man, that's Charlie Wright, and that would have been Charlie Wright, Jill, Seattle. That's the winning play. We won a national championship at Alabama with this play. It was 2nd and 26. If you remember in 2018, the national championship game, Tua Tagovailoa took a sack.
Okay.
And we were in overtime against Georgia. And he took the sack, so now it's 2nd and 26, and we're out of field goal range. And so this is almost like the picture perfect kind of analogy of life, because he took the L on 1st and 10 to put it to 2nd and 26. And the next play, he dropped a dime to Devontae Smitty Smith, who plays with the Eagles, on 2nd and 26. And both of them were true freshmen when they made these plays.
They made those plays right there.
True freshmen. And this game kind of has a really significant impact to me, because we've done a story on ESPN about my son who was murdered, Miko, and we opened up the year in this stadium, Mercedes-Benz Stadium in Atlanta. It was the first game there. And we played Florida State in the game of the century, as they called it, because we were preseason number 1. They were preseason number 2. And after that game, I can remember that was the last time I talked to my son Miko on the phone, because I usually call my kids after every game. And I can remember he watched the game. He was up here in Maryland living in Columbia. And he said, "Man, Pops, y'all have a chance to win the championship this year if y'all keep playing the way y'all played tonight." And the very next day, he was murdered. And so going into the stadium, all these emotions would come upon me as we practiced there every day, and then we played the game there, where the bus would pull up right in the same place where we were when I last spoke to him. But then to win the game in that fashion, and I coached the receivers that year. I was the co-coordinator, and I was coaching the receivers on that play. And so for it all to kind of come together, it was like surreal, because the same place where I last spoke to him was the same place I won my first national championship as a coach.
Damn.
So that's why that picture's up. So Tua, Smitty, the 2nd and 26, it all kind of wrapped up into this one play.
Right. Yeah, no, that's a deep experience right there. That's a deep experience right there, man. And I really don't want to bring you back in that space, man. But I want to ask you, man, if God gave you the opportunity to speak to your son for 30 minutes,
man, that's a good one.
What would you tell him?
You know what? I talked to him, Kurt. People don't know. So upstairs, we didn't bury him. We had him cremated. We got his ashes upstairs. And you saw that stairwell in my office, and you said, "Oh, you don't have to come up." So that we call that the stairway to heaven. And Miko's ashes are in that room above my office. And so I usually go there on Fridays before games, and I actually talk to him. So I do get to talk to him. But if he was here, number one, he dealt with mental health issues. He played Division I football, and out of nowhere, at the age of 21, he went from being a regular Division I football playing kid to really struggling with understanding myth from reality. Like, he just couldn't put it together. I can remember just staring at him, feeling like I looked through his eyes and see that look. If you ever saw somebody that was going through a mental health state, it's almost like you can see their soul through their eyes. And I could just remember, like, man, what can I do to help you? And for me as a parent, it's the first time I'm dealing with anybody in my family that's close to me that dealt with. I mean, he was diagnosed with schizoaffective disorder, which means he heard voices. He sometimes reacted weird, and as a parent, you just want to help your child. And I was fortunate that I had the resources to help, but seeing him struggle, I would say that was probably the toughest thing I had to do. If I had 30 minutes with Meek, man, I would just love on him, bro, because when the circle of life isn't built for parents to bury their children, and unfortunately, as we grew up, we saw a lot of death. You kind of become immune to it to a degree. You sometimes maybe don't react the right way. So it'll be a good conversation, but man, I just miss him. So I would spend time not worrying about what's happened, but just letting them know that I'm really proud. I was really proud of him.
Right. Yeah, that's powerful, man. That's powerful, man. And I know you being a coach, your whole life you've been saving kids and working with
everybody else's kids.
Taking everybody's kids, yeah, man.
You lose one like that. And even for me, we grew up on the South Side, and you do everything you can to make sure your kids don't go through some of the things you do. And for me, it didn't sit well to lose a kid to the streets the way I did. And I tried to do everything right, but it just shows you can do everything right and still end up wrong.
Right. Yeah, definitely. Man, every time I see you when you're interacting with adults or kids, you just seem so upbeat. You just seem like Like, there's no worry in the world, man.
Oh, it's worries, but it's like
how you able to keep that?
I'm Vanita's son, man. Vanita Locksley, you would not know that rent was due, electric bill was 2 months behind. She just sit up that joint. You come in, you smell food, even though she ain't got no money probably. You just make it happen, man. And I think when you grow up that way and you're not entitled, you know, you just understand that it's hard work. What is complaining going to do? Like, I'm really asked that question. I can remember when our team during the pandemic, all these teams, when George Floyd was killed, all these teams were doing marches and, you know, everybody wanted to speak about the problem. And I can remember, you know, asking my team, we ain't going to talk about the problem. Let's figure out what do we want to do as a solution. You know, I've always been solution-based. And to be able to have success the way I've had it, dwelling on the negative, don't get you anywhere. Right? So I look at even failure as an opportunity to get a lesson from it. When you look at, I mean, I failed as a head coach. I got fired in New Mexico, but now I'm having success at Maryland. Well, it's a byproduct of learning from the failure that I had at New Mexico. So to me, I would just say that failure has never been final for me. And it all starts with, if I got a chance, if I get another day, that means I got another chance.
That's right.
So if I'm broke tomorrow, and I got another day, I'm going to figure out how to get some money. I'm going to figure out how to make it work. And I don't know if having a negative attitude ever allows you to get where you want to go anyway.
Right. Yeah, they got a sense, when you talk about your mom, and maybe think about back when we were coming up, your mother, between your mom and your grandmother, they didn't even allow you to know you was really poor. You know what I'm saying? The food stayed hot, the bed stayed warm.
House was clean. You could walk through a hallway full of trash, and you went in the Vanita Locksley house. You was gonna smell this thing. You knew you was somewhere clean.
Right. You hear Oldie McGoody's playing while she cleaned up.
Man, she was Luther Vandross. She played all her 70s, 80s.
Right, yeah.
96.3. She was on the Quiet Storm at night. Yeah. It's the same thing, man. Yeah. Sunday gospel on. You got HUR gospel on Sunday morning.
Definitely. You got a lot of players came through your hands, your program, your recruiting. Can you name me 2 kids that got away from you? That's big names in this.
2 that got away. I would say a more recent one would be Chase Young. You know, I was at Alabama at the time when Chase was coming out of high school, and he visited Bama when I was there. And you know, I wasn't a full-time coach; I was an analyst at that time, but I was trying to help run point. And so Chase was one that got away. Trying to think of another one. Derek Williams. I don't know if you remember Derek Williams.
All days of number one player in the country.
Yeah, he's number one in the country. And I was at Florida at the time recruiting him. And he was actually, people don't know this, and if you were to ever interview Derek was coming to Florida. He was going to come play for me at Florida.
Right.
And we got let go that year. I can remember he took his official visit, and the weekend he took his official visit, we had a hurricane down in Florida, and the hurricane kind of shut the airport, so he was stuck there for like 4 or 5 days for his official visit because of the weather. And I can tell you that at the end of that visit, he was basically going to be a Gator. And then Ronzo gets let go, and we moved to Illinois, and he wasn't interested in Illinois. He wasn't interested in Illinois. So, but we stay in touch. I've talked to Derek over the years, but we've maintained a pretty strong. But I would say him and Chase would be 2 of the ones that got away that I felt like I maybe would have had a better chance at.
Right. DC have a stigma on our brand that they blow big situations, whether it be a player, coach, whatever. How did you seem to avoid that stigma?
Blow up. Explain when you say like. Meaning like how we had great players, but they don't ever do anything with them?
Not just that. We have a reputation once they give an opportunity, they say we blow, we end up getting fired, or we get kicked out of school.
I've been fired.
Or we get such and such. But I'm saying fired for not losers is not doing the right thing off the court, off the field.
I can't speak on the people that have gotten let go, but I can say this. I made mistakes as a coach. I mean, I got fired in New Mexico and had all types of things. But as I said earlier, I mean, when I fail, I'm gonna usually figure the lesson out in that failure so that I don't make the same mistake twice. You know, and I look at getting my second head coaching opportunity is a lot like when you have the first baby. I can remember, you can read that baby book all you want until you make, they got the nursery set up, but then when that baby get home, you're just reacting. And it's like drinking water out of a fire hydrant. And then when you have your second one, that lesson from how the first one went, second one, you putting them in the back seat of the car, driving them around the neighborhood to get them to quiet.
You're a professional burper, huh?
You hear a certain cry, you're like, oh, he wet, or he's hungry based on the cry. And those are lessons. And so, I failed. And most coaches do fail. I mean, I don't know about just the DC ones, but for me, man, to get this opportunity, I wasn't going to let this one go. This was my dream job.
Right. Now we have the new thing we call the NIL deals. What's your perspective on that, and how do you handle that and manage that?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, these kids deserve to get paid. You and I grew up in an era where I watched. Again, I told you I grew up in the ticket scouting business, so I grew up in an era when Patrick Ewing came to Georgetown. They used to play games on campus, and campus's arena, Georgetown's arena. I don't know how many it hold, but I thought it was McDonough Arena probably hold like 1,500, maybe more. I don't know, but I know that when Pat was playing, it was sold out, and people were wrapped around the building to where they ended up renting out the Capitol Center, and for the next 3 years, they sold out an 18,000 seat arena for all Georgetown home games. And so the money that you see that Patrick Ewing and the guys like Alonzo Mourning and Allen Iverson has made for that little university on the hill up there in Georgetown is a byproduct of those kids that came there and their brands. And so, again, I think kids deserve to get paid. I think there has to be kind of some guardrails, which I feel like those are coming. With each day, there's new legislation. But it goes back to growing up the way we grew up. Change was inevitable. Something was going to happen that changed, and you better be able to adjust, pivot, and figure it out. And that's what growing up, how we grew up. You learn to figure it out. And so with this landscape, I've been on the front end of it, meaning anticipating how to handle it, how to manage it. I feel pretty good about the process we have where, we can pay players now. We've created a system that allows some equity in how we pay them. It's not just frivolous money, but I mean, we're becoming more pro-like than what people probably are used to, but it's the nature of the beast when big money gets involved like it is in college football.
Okay. What is Maryland football culture?
What is Maryland football culture? Hopefully it's a family for me. I've always instilled family values in everything I do because unlike a business where you work and then you don't have the relationship with the people you work with outside of when you work, I mean, this football thing 24/7. I mean, these guys are together 6, 7, 8 hours a day. They live together. They eat together. They train together. So the best teams I've been a part of have been more family-like than they have been more organizational. Because when people know you care, you usually get their best. When they feel like they have ownership, and in the family, everybody has ownership in the name, it means a little bit more. So the first thing we try to do is instill that brotherhood that comes with being a part of a football family. I would hope our culture is everything we get, we take or we earn.
Oh, that's right.
Like, ain't nobody give me nothing. Like, I wasn't given this job. I wasn't given, I had to fight, scrape, crawl, beg, borrow to get to where I am. So I know that you have to either take it or earn it. And we're not afraid of the work. We blue collar. Like we do things blue collar way, meaning we expect it to be hard. We expect to have to do some work. I would say those things. I mean, we have pillar words in our program: toughness, effort, relentlessness, meaning we pursue our goals and we don't get off track. And then we have pride in what we do. We have pride in the name on the front of the jersey. We have pride in the name on the back of the jersey, and that usually equals success.
Okay. When you talk to young players that I talk to personally, actually, about, and whenever your name come up, they're saying, man, Mike's so cool, man, Locksley cool, man. How you stay so relatable, man, to the youth like that?
I can't even tell you. I just know this: if they like you, they buy from you. And if you're kind, you got humility, you treat people the way you want to be treated. I think those things kind of stand out, but those are like laws of the jungle apply, man. Just treat people how you want to be treated, and I would hope that, when I sit on people's couch and tell them that I'm going to take care of your child, I lost one. And so that hole that is left in my heart, like, I know how important people, like, they're giving me their most prized possession at the most pivotal time of their life. Imagine an 18-year-old being dropped off. All right, I'm 55, but I feel like I'm Benjamin Button because I deal with 18 to 22-year-olds every day.
Right.
I never see the 18-year-old become 56 in front of me, maybe from afar. So it'd be different if I was Bill Belichick and I watched Tom Brady come in at 22 and leave at 50.
Right, yeah.
Now I feel old as I don't know what. I'm like, I must be old if he look how old this dude is.
Right,
But every day I get a new crop of 18 to 22-year-olds. So I went from the 6-button suits to showing my ankles, tight suits with the little, you just adjust. You got to keep changing because every generation is a little bit different, man. And this generation has been the most trying for me. I can tell you that, man. This generation, with Gen Z, these little Jones, they crazy, bro. They feel like they ready to be bosses, rule the world today because they have so much information.
Right, so much
available to them, and we had to go search for. I had to go find that encyclopedia, which was in my brother's room under the bed somewhere. Back in the day, I had to have the encyclopedia set to get information. These dudes could just type it in AI and say write a paper, and writes the paper for
and it's done, right?
Done.
It's done. You had, being a head coach, you had to make some tough decisions. What was one of the toughest fires you had to make as far as
toughest fire? I mean, every fire is hard for me because I usually hire people that I love and care about. And it comes back to burn you sometimes because I see and understand when people talk about hiring family and friends, when you do business, like both parties have to understand, like, we're friends, but when it comes to this work, it's not a suggestion. Sometimes it may be a suggestion because we homies and, man, Lock's cool. Lock's OG, he cool, but the work ain't get done. And so now I have to hold people accountable. And so every fire has been tough because, man, when you go tell somebody you're not good enough or you're not getting the job done, that's not easy. And so I'd say they all have been tough, but let's see, toughest fire, man. They all hard for me, Kurt. I mean, there's been some of them. People who have been let go that I don't even tell people I fired them. I meet with them and say, look, you need to find a job because this ain't working for you. It's not working for me. And then over the course of the next month and a half, they're like working to find a job. And I've never really come out and say I fired someone because I think, again, if you fail and you get the lesson, it benefits you. And so some people that I fired, maybe they didn't meet the standard there. I mean, I can tell you right now, I got Coach Azar back on my staff, all right? And this is a personal story. When I came back as the head coach, Azar was on the staff that was being let go. And here, I pretty much helped raise Azar in the coaching business. I mean, he was coaching at the high school level.
Powerhouse too.
Yeah, I mean, he built it though. It wasn't a powerhouse when he first went to Friendship.
No, he built it.
So he had his head busting a few times.
Backyard grass, patch field.
Yeah, the beach as we call it.
Okay.
But when I came in, I didn't keep him. I didn't hire him, or I didn't keep him the first time. When I walked in the door in 2019, I said, "Look, I'd rather be your friend than be your boss." And I said, maybe right now ain't the time. We work on our friendship again because we had kind of fell off with each other. I said, maybe we work on our friendship. I'm willing to say I'm willing to work on our friendship. Maybe I will hire you back here at some point. And I tried to hire him a couple times, and he decided no. But then this year he came back, man. And it's been a great hire for us because he's taken a little bit of the load off my plate with local recruiting because of the relationships and the people I know and the people I have in my life being from here. Being a head coach and then trying to recruit and it's like going to the store, buying the groceries, cooking dinner, putting it on the table, then having to do the dishes and put it away. Like I had to do it all. Right. And now having Czar back home kind of takes a little bit off my plate to where I know he can go hunt. I go get players. He has the same alignment with me in that when we sit on people's couch and we talk to parents about preparing your son for life after football, because the football piece is easy for these kids. Like, I mean, if I'm recruiting you, you're usually good enough. But it's what happens when the lights go off. What happens 40 years from now, not just the next 4 years. And because he grew up like we did, he understands it. So the alignment's there, and it's been a good hire. But I would say not keeping him when I first came back in 2019 was a tough conversation for both of us. But I think we both benefited and learned and grew, and actually probably are probably closer now because we went through that time.
All right. What's your thoughts about Coach Deion Sanders and the program he built in Colorado?
You know, I love what Deon's doing out there. I mean, he's bringing attention. You know, I started an organization called the National Coalition for Minority Football Coaches as a way to pay it forward. You know, I'm on the back nine of my career. Like I said, I'll be 55 Christmas Day. We probably got about 10 more years of locks here and before I start doing what you're doing full time. But I would say what Deion has been able to do as a black head coach out in Colorado is he brings attention to a really something that's important to me, because, I mean, we haven't gotten that type of attention as black head coaches that Deion has. And to me, he's earned it. You know, he understands the game. He played the game at the highest level. He's a Hall of Famer. You know, he's done it at every level. He's succeeded in different sports. So I like what he's done. It's kind of given a blueprint to, you know, help him build a brand. And he's doing it the right way with his family. He's created a family environment. And so, you know, I would expect that he'll have great success out there.
Right. Man, I know you're relatable to the players, man. You obviously stay fly, man. Let me see where your music at, man. Let me see where your music at, man.
I told you I stay with 18 to 22 year olds.
Okay, so we're going to jump in and out there, man.
Right.
Drake or Kendrick Lamar?
K-Dot, man.
Okay.
K-Dot.
Is this because of the song he just dropped, or you hit on that?
No, so K-Dot is a wordsmith. If you, like I said, K-Dot puts words together, he tells stories, he's lived a life, it's authentic. Now, that's not saying I don't listen to Drake. Drake is a vibe. So if me and wifey going to dinner and I want kind of be in that vibey mood, put on Drake. So I think Drake has a place. But just like if I had to sit down and do this, me and you, and I wanted to talk to me and K-Dot would probably have more in common than me and Drake.
Okay, based on that answer, I'm curious about this one. Tupac or Biggie?
Man, why you gonna go there? Why you gonna go there?
Tupac or Biggie? I just heard everything you said there. I'm gonna see what
well, they both East Coast guys. So they both Tupac spent time in Baltimore, and Biggie. I mean, I'm a Biggie guy, man. I mean, golly, man. I would think I'm gonna say Biggie. I gotta say Biggie, but I mean, that's a hard one, bro. I bang with Pac though. Like Pac. I still listen to some old Pac, man.
Oh, Eyes on Me, huh?
Yeah, man. Eyes on Me, man. Man. That's a tough one. I said that's a tie. If you like twist my arm, it's Biggie.
Okay, all right.
Biggie can put you in any mood you want to be in.
Okay.
Pac has just always been like, Pac has been on one. Right. So it all depends on my mood. Like if I'm getting ready for a game.
You battling with this right here, man. You struggling with this right here.
I am. But if I'm getting ready for a football game, I'm listening to Pac. If I'm like trying to think and prepare for the football game, I'm listening to Biggie.
You know, DC love Tupac, man.
Oh, man, this one hard, man. It's hard,
okay,
bro.
All right. Okay. For the record, I'm a Biggie, but I just want to know what you think. Carly B and Megan Thee Stallion.
Neither one of them, man. I'm a Lil' Kim, Foxy Brown type of MC Light.
MC Light, Queen Latifah and all that.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Queen, but like Foxy Brown, like I like kind of like a sensual rapper, but I ain't trying to hear about you. Like PTP and like I don't want you talking to me like that shit. Like come on.
What the locker room listening to?
Sexy Reds. Well, they into the Sexy Reds and all that junk. But I mean, I would say they probably more Megan Thee Stallion than Cardi B.
Okay.
In my locker room, just because they into the ratchetness.
Okay. Nas or Jay-Z?
Sheesh. No, man, it's Jay, man. Nas, I mean, I grew up with Nas, but Jay, I mean, I'm a Jay guy.
You're Jay man. Okay. Beyonce or Janet Jackson?
Janet.
Oh, you said that fast.
Yeah, man.
I hope the
I done
Beehive.
seen Janet.
I hope the Beehive. They looking out, Joy.
I saw Janet on Good Times, bro.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Janet, little Penny played on Good Times. I grew up with her, bro. I cannot turn my back on my little shorty, man.
All right, I'm gonna see what you listening with your mother's clean up back in the day.
Okay, here we go.
Al Green or Marvin Gaye?
Marvin, man. Marvin Gaye. All day long.
Okay, all right. Commodores or Earth, Wind, and Fire?
Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Okay. Ray Essence or Chuck Brown?
Essence. I like Chuck on
Sundays.
South
side thing.
Yeah, well, just because, man, I grew up on Essence. Chuck was the older crowd when I was growing up. So you gotta remember when Chuck was really like Chuck and the Soul Searchers was in the 70s, but he kind of went and became more of like the older crowd. Like when I was like 14, the 20-year-olds was going to Chuck, and we was going to hear Essence and EU and who else back in them days, man? Petworth back in the day, Air Raid.
Yeah. Okay. Redskin or Dallas? I threw that in there.
Die Hard, Race.
Okay, all right. I got one more to throw in there. College only, though. Len Biles or Michael Jordan?
Lenny, man. You see that picture? This picture right here, this is an authentic picture of Mike and Lenny. Right there in the corner. You see, look how big Lenny was compared to Mike.
He got him in that post sleep on the barbecue.
Nah, but come on, man. Lenny, man. I'm a die-hard home team guy. Like, when the fat lady was singing, that's why you ever hear me at the end of we win games and run, like, sing that damn song.
Right, yeah.
Would it say you can't leave till the fat lady sing or something? When the Bullets was playing for the championships in the
Seattle Superstars.
Yeah. So, something about the fat lady singing.
Right. I'm going to say a couple of names. Give me what comes to your mind about these people. Nick Saban.
The GOAT, man. I mean, when I went to Alabama, I equated it. I get in trouble when I say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. I equated it to like Muslims going to Mecca, Jews going to Israel. I mean, Catholics going to the Vatican. Like when I had a chance to go work for Nick Saban, I had been a head coach. I had been in this business. I mean, it was almost like taking sabbatical and learning. I mean, to win as many championships as he's winning. I hadn't been to a national championship game in 30 years as a coach. And I go there and I go to 3 straight national championship games. I mean, and I saw firsthand how things were set up, how he organized, why, to learn the why behind it was like, for me, I went there intentionally because I wanted to know how has he been able to develop a program like he did at Alabama. And I got the answers. I got grandma's chocolate chip cookie recipe from him.
Okay. The late, great John Thompson.
Oh, man, that's my guy. Big coach.
Right.
Big coach, man. So big coach, most people in this area know Coach Thompson did not like football. He used to say, that's a dumb sport. Why would you want to go put equipment on hot outside and run into each other all day? And so when he used to do the radio with Doc Walker, I would get on and do a segment sometimes from around football, recruiting. And so I got to meet Coach Thompson, and him being a part of the Black Coaches Association, which he started, is what kind of ignited me to start the coalition that I started. Because him, Nolan Richardson, George Raveling, my guy at Temple, John Chaney, they were the forefathers of the Black Coaches Association. And if you can remember, when we were coming out of high school, we had Prop 48. And John Thompson walked off the court with his towel on us, so he stood up for us. And so I've always looked up to him. He won a national championship at Georgetown. He's the first black head coach to win a national championship at the Division I level. Here's a fact a lot of people don't know. There's never been a black head coach win a national championship in college football. What would be a better place than to do it right here in Chocolate City? Right where John Thompson did it, right?
Yeah, John.
Follow the path, man.
Definitely. Kevin Plank, excuse me.
Friend, man. Like, I wouldn't be the head coach here if it wasn't for Kevin. I mean, me and KP have a really strong relationship. Wherever I've been, he's always opened his arms and his home up. When I left Maryland and went to Nike schools like Alabama and other places like that, Florida and Illinois were all Nike schools, I would still come back and play in some of his, he'd have the Preakness golf tournament. But, I mean, KP is a true, genuine friend for a guy that has had as much success as he has. He has so much humility, and for how he has supported Maryland. And we have a few people that are passionate supporters of it, and he's one of the few. Him and Barry Gossett that have put their money where their mouth is and have been huge supporters that have allowed me to have the success we've had here since I've come back.
Coach Charlie Harley on your staff.
Charlie Harley, man. He's the Swiss Army knife, man. Coach Harley is a former high school coach. He's probably, I'd say, one of my closest friends. You know how you meet people, and over the years we've known each other about 20, 25 years, and I can just, another one of those, I always use this word kind, because, I mean, just something about being kind and treating people the way you want to be treated, and Harley is as authentic. Like, I'm usually good with authentic people. I don't do fake real well, man. As most people from around here, we don't do fake. I'd rather know that you're a friend or a foe. Right? Don't be the friend that is a foe.
Right.
Like, draw your line in the sand, and I will respect you for who you are.
There's a saying that I was always say when I was young: if you can't figure out their friend or foe, make them a foe so you can easy identify them.
100%.
Man, just walking around your state, man, seeing your success. You talking about pool, you got a go-kart path, walk back there. Do sometimes you just picture yourself coming from Southwest and take it all like that, just have a pinch moment?
I have those moments, but not usually here at the crib. It's usually when I pull up to work. When you grow up, and like I told you, I grew up in those parking lots of Bird Stadium, Lot Z, Lot 1, that little lot there that's on the side of Old Cole. Like, I grew up going there, and so when I pull in and the gate opens and I pull into my parking spot and I pull in front and in, it's a sign that says reserved for head football coach Michael Locksley. And every day I see that sign, man. And sometimes it could be a rough day. I could be leaving work, but I look at it as almost like a reminder of, like, bro, just think of what a miracle this is. It's a miracle, man, that I'm the head coach at Maryland, because we don't get these opportunities. And, so I would say I'll have those pinch myself moments, not walking around the house, because to me this is, these come and go, man. I had a nice house in New Mexico, and they fired me. That joint was gone. So I love this place. This is my last job. In my mind, this is my last job. Like, I didn't come here to try to win here and go somewhere else. I came here to try to build and win a national championship right here at the crib. And so this house probably means more to me, because I know, like, it'll probably be a part of my family for years and years and years to come. But the pinch myself moment is when I pull up to the office and I have the keys to the stadium, the building, and I read that sign, and it reminds me just how lucky, fortunate, blessed, any word you want to throw in there, that I am to come from Southwest D.C. and have an opportunity to lead a Division I program. It's
a beautiful thing.
It's unheard of.
Yeah. Anything you're working on that you want to touch on, speak about, that we might know about?
I think you want it, man. I mean, between coaching at Maryland and trying to develop and find a way to keep these top players right here at home, that's, to me, the ultimate goal. The next piece would be, if you ever want a coach to have longevity, buy tickets. I'd love to look out in the stand and see our people at the games. They support the Commanders. Native Son is right across the state line, right across the city line. Come on out to College Park, man. We call it Terpsville now. Come on out to Terpsville. I'm the mayor. I was voted mayor of Terpsville. Come on out here and get some season tickets, or come see a game, man. Bring your family, bring your friends, man. Let's make it the old school block party at CQ Stadium.
All right. Speaking of Terpsville, man, with that good seafood mix we had, man. What's my man? What's the restaurant? Man?
Grill Marks.
Grill Marks, man.
I will tell you, Grill Marks is one of my favorite restaurants. It's right there across from campus. It's a steak and raw bar, so if you like fresh seafood delivered daily, the steaks are off the hook. They had a great crab dip when we were there. Jackie and her staff there that run Grill Marks. It's a phenomenal restaurant right across from College Park campus. I heard they maybe even have some late nights starting here in the next few weeks. On Thursday, Friday, Saturday, they're going to probably stay open a little later and more of the adult crowd that don't want to have to drive into the city. You can come on out Route 1 off of Baltimore Avenue in the lobby of the hotel.
Yeah, because I was surprised. I didn't know that was a hidden gem, man. Yeah. I mean, it was everything was good, man. Everything was good, man.
Yeah, Jackie does a great job over there, her and the staff. And again, it's one of those steak houses that, I mean, you don't have to go in the city, fight the traffic, parking. You got free 3-hour parking at the hotel. Like I said, I think they're going to start late night over there on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights. Stay open a little later for, you got a little shorty, you want to come through the crib, hang out on the patio at night, music, kind of a little vibe for us adults.
Right. Mike, you grew up in a neighborhood, man. I mean, like I say, it was the likes of Wayne Perry, the K Street crew, Big Ernie.
Big Ernie Hooks.
Big Ernie Hooks, right? Yeah.
Big Lock.
And you've been around kids all your life and what you do. I mean, just coming up in that environment and the climate we living in today, do you got any suggestions or any ideas we can do to kind of like, reach out to save some of these boys and girls out here?
Bring sports back, man. I'm just telling you, Kurt, there was something about every quadrant of the city had a club. I mean, number 4 was in Southwest. Number 11 was in Southeast. Number 2 was right by Surge's Quarters. Number 9, Trinidad. You had 13 way, over there off that little South Dakota Avenue area over there. So, to me, that bringing these kids need something to do in the city, man. It's like there's not a lot of stuff, and I know that there's been a lot of change in the city because even my old neighborhood, I mean, Linda Poland doesn't even exist anymore. When I go down Southwest and I take my kids down there and say I grew up in a rough neighborhood, and now I take them down Southwest, and they was like, "Oh, this is a rough neighborhood." We still got pockets of it. So I would just say, man, it starts with the education, Kurt, man, giving back.
Right.
Through our NIL stuff at Maryland, because of how I grew up. We actually do it a little bit differently in that I pay my guys to do community service. Right. So the pillars of our community service are gun violence education. I lost a son to gun violence, drug and alcohol, basically prevention. Literacy, and then mental health awareness. Those are the 4 pillars of our program in terms of when we do community service. And so. I think the more of our guys that are from these neighborhoods that go back in to talk to these guys, man, getting them out to football games, getting this story out for a little youngin' in Uptown that to see that Coach Locks actually grew up like I grew up. He grew up in some housing projects. He grew up not having it all, but has some scrapes and scratches, but was able to make it. The education piece is no way around it, man. But I think we have to use sports kind of as the worm to catch the fish.
I like that. Man, look, man. I just want to thank you, man, for your time.
You ain't got to thank me, Kurt. I'm glad you finally let me on. I've been here 6 years, bro. Like, why it take me so long to get on, bro?
I gotta watch. First of all, make sure you win. First, you win. I gotta make sure. You carry the Maryland brand, then you carry the DC brand too. So I gotta make sure you win it, man. But yeah, man. But look, man. Every time I close, I would like to end with a jewel, man. I mean, everything he said was full of jewels. You're a walking testament. You know what I'm saying? And I like to bring stories like this because everybody used to the Curtbone stories, the Michael Frey stories, the Wayne Perry stories, but we have guys that was in them same swamps that took different exits. You know what I'm saying?
Or learn from those lessons.
More, right? And just hearing your story, one thing stuck out of my mind because I got a saying. I actually wanted on my tombstone is adversity introduced one to himself. And it's like every time you had adverse moments, man, you rose to the occasion, man.
That's because failure ain't final.
Okay, I like that.
Failure's not final.
I like that.
As long as you get the lesson, man, and you get locked up. While you sitting in that jail, figure out what's the lesson? What could I have done differently? What would I do differently if I was faced the same situation? And if you truly get the lesson, then normally you learn from it. And the success I'm having at Maryland is a byproduct of being failed or fired at New Mexico, in my opinion, and just all those experiences from life.
Right, exactly. You heard it right there. That was a jewel for you right there, man. Make sure y'all tune in. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe.
All the above. Buy tickets.
Buy tickets to see the Maryland University.
Under the university, we got cheap season tickets, family environment. Come on out, man.
Yes. Curtbone TV, Exchangingjewels. Make sure you subscribe and share. Thank you for watching Exchangingjewels on Curtbone TV. If you like the jewels that we are dropping, subscribe, hit the notification, and share with some friends. And I'll see you on the next episode of Exchangingjewels, Curtbone TV.